Good afternoon, Joan.
Good afternoon, Paul.
So we said we'd have a chat about the 1960s. I've been wanting to do one of these for a while, so I'm quite excited about this one. When did you move to Manchester?
1963,
Yeah,
I went to university in Manchester.
yeah. What was you
So I
doing?
was there.
What what
Pardon?
what was you doing?
Well, I did science, but my degree eventually was in botany.
Oh,
Although
wow.
I did all sorts of things on the way, chemistry, biochemistry, geology. I did a year at St Mary's Hospital doing bacteriology and virology.
Yeah,
But plants and the evolution of plants on the planet are my big interest.
yeah.
Still are.
And what was it like being a student in 1963 Manchester?
Oh, well, I can only, it was so different to today,
Yeah,
but I mean, it is 60 years ago. So
yeah,
I guess if you'd asked somebody what it was like in 1920 or 10 or whatever, they
yeah,
would have found it equally different from today. But
yeah,
it was great fun and
yeah.
it was lovely. I really enjoyed it.
What were the nightclubs then?
Well, we were very lucky, really, as students. We lived in very sort of dingy digs and flats because there wasn't a lot of student halls then.
Yeah,
But um, but we were really at the student union quite near Granada.
yeah,
So when they opened Top of the Pops,
yeah,
the first people they asked, well, I don't know whether we were the first, but certainly we were asked to go
yeah.
as young people. So I do remember we used to go and line up outside, and not for long. And then somebody, I don't know who, would come out and just go, you, in we'd go.
Yeah,
So in a way, that's not a nightclub at all.
yeah,
But in a way, what we saw then were loads of people who were beginning on their pop group careers.
yeah,
Of course, at the time, we had no idea how famous some of them would become
yeah,
and are still famous
yeah.
60 years later.
It,
So we saw a lot of people um, at Top of the Pops, but also we had a terrific students' union and the entertainment committee were able to bring all sorts of people in
yeah,
for our Saturday night ventures, as it were. So
yeah,
we saw quite a lot of people in the union.
yeah,
And then uh, me and a few of my friends were lucky in that we had a friend an American friend who worked as a barman part time, and he was doing a research degree, but he worked in a nightclub, and I hate to tell you, but I can't remember the name of it. But he was able to get us in. Otherwise, we could never have afforded. I don't think it was expensive,
yeah,
but as students, we didn't have very much money. We all had grants, unlike the students of today, So, but we didn't have a lot of money. But if you had somebody who could let you in, you got in.
yeah,
And also, I was lucky because I lived in a friend and I lived in a particularly grotty house in a flat, which was awful. But downstairs lived a guy called Tommy Dean, who was a blue comedian in
yeah,
some of the clubs.
yeah.
Now, I never ever saw his act because he said, "You're not seeing a blue act." We were too young, too innocent.
Yeah,
But he was a great guy. He was so funny. But he had access to clubs
yeah,
and and he got us in.
yeah.
So so we did go to quite a few clubs, and honestly, the only one I can name for you, I think, is the Twisted Wheel, which you will
Oh,
have
wow.
heard of,
What's that?
because we went to others,
Yeah,
but that was the one that stayed in my memory.
yeah,
So I had access to quite a lot of places to go
yeah.
to see people. So it's good fun.
Was it Northern Soul right from the start, the Twisted Wheel, or
Um, there was Northern Soul certainly at the Twisted Wheel,
Yeah,
but oh yeah, that was just so lovely. I mean, the atmosphere, and really, as a 18, 19-year-old, yeah, I didn't really know what atmosphere was, and I don't know whether I do now, but when you go into a place and it's so different and
yeah,
it makes you feel good and the music is loud,
yeah,
um, and you do feel an atmosphere, whatever an atmosphere is. It was just great, and it had a smell, so I can smell the smell now. I think it probably was just hot, sweaty bodies,
yeah,
but it had a distinctive smell. And because you went down into a basement
yeah,
to it, there was a sort of a coffee shop, I think, above, and then you went down into the basement. So it was really good. Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't alcohol. They didn't serve alcohol in there, did they?
I, I don't remember ever drinking alcohol in any of the venues.
Yeah,
I remember drinking alcohol in the student union,
yeah,
but basically what we drank was, well, all the guys drank, it seemed to me, Newcastle Brown.
yeah,
And I think I did. We didn't there wasn't a drink. I know they always say the 60s were mad and wild and drugs and drink and sex and all the rest of it. But I don't remember drinking very much at all. Maybe, I probably drank beer with the guys. In the clubs, I don't remember ever drinking anything except a soft drink.
yeah,
I don't think for one we could afford it. And for another, we were quite aware that you didn't let other people come and buy you drinks if they were older people,
yeah,
because you knew that, even then, well, even more then, I think, because it it was not so much a taboo as it is now that older people would come buy you drinks and ply you with drinks, and you never know where that might end. We were wise enough not to ever let that happen. We actually went really because of the music and the feeling and to dance, and it was just it was just good fun. So the only place I drank, I'm sure it's the same for my friends, was in the student union, where
yeah.
we did honestly knock back a few.
Do you know, like I'm listening to, I'm remembering that someone told me that, and it's hard to visualize stuff when things aren't there anymore, but where the man,
Yes.
where the Manchester Roundel is, um, there was a load of beat cafes there. Was that the way in town that there's a lot of coffee
Oh,
shops?
yes. The coffee bar scene was immense, really, but it was everywhere. And
Yeah,
I mean, Manchester, it was everywhere, yes.
yeah,
But but even where I lived, earlier on, there was a coffee bar scene.
yeah,
It was just everywhere in the early 60s and maybe late 50s, yeah. And it was where teenagers particularly went. And and you had the old jukeboxes and things. So it
yeah,
was it was really lovely, actually. Looking back, it
yeah.
was a place where people would go. There is nothing, well, I don't think there's anything like it for young people now. I think they like more perhaps sophisticated things. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, I'm not young anymore, so I don't know.
No,
I'm
I've
54
got,
now.
sorry.
I'm 54 now, so I'm
Oh,
in
well,
that category soon.
you're very young because I'm 80.
Yeah, God, you
So
don't
I'm
like it.
very old.
So,
But I have, sorry.
with Top of the Pops, who did
Mm.
then like you said in 1963, who did you get to see there?
Um, oh, I saw loads and loads of people, but the ones I particularly probably remember, you see, Herman's Hermits, I remember particularly
Yeah,
because they were a Mancunian group,
yeah,
and because I think either Peter Noon or Lex Mother um, had students as lodgers. A lot of the ladies in Manchester, and men, I suppose, had their houses with students living in them. And so and I think also Lech went to the university. And the reason I remember Lech most of all was I do think it was he who told me when John F. Kennedy got shot.
Yeah.
I remember him seriously driving past me and stopping and saying Kennedy's been shot. And I I couldn't think who Kennedy was. I just thought of him as somebody I knew from home who was a friend of my brother's. And then the penny dropped. It was so horrific. But of course, as a result of that, Herman's Hermits stick out in my mind as a group at the time.
Yeah.
They were very young, and of course, nobody knew that they were going to become as famous as they did become.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so they were particularly lovely. Um, I think I never saw the Beatles there, but they did play on Top of the Pops. We didn't go every week. We
Yeah.
just went when we felt we wanted to. We didn't really even know when we went who we were going to see. We saw the Rolling Stones loads of
Did
times.
you?
Um,
Wow. In Top of the Pops in Granada.
yeah, we
Yeah.
did. We'd already seen them where we lived earlier on, because they come from the south of England,
Yeah.
and they used to play in a place called, well, they played in a place, there's a village near where I lived called Warpleston, and they actually played in the village hall, which was literally a village hall,
Yeah.
one old fashioned, and they were just starting off. And then they played in a place called the Wooden Bridge in Guildford. And I think they also played at Eel Pie Island, which is probably a place that you've heard of, which we sometimes used to frequent. So we already knew the Rolling Stones, and most of us absolutely loved the Rolling Stones.
Yeah.
Never, and their music was fantastic. I mean, at Pop of the Pops, it was all taped music. They mimed,
Yeah.
but but it didn't matter with the Rolling Stones because you had Mick Jagger dancing,
Yeah.
and then you had various other very sultry members of the group who were interesting because they were very sultry and sulky.
Yeah.
But great, good music. Um, we saw, I think, I know we saw, well, we saw loads of people. We saw Sandie Shaw, who stands out in my mind because she was a very aloof at that time, seemed a very aloof young lady. And she had, I think, got a very good gimmick in that she never wore her shoes,
All right. Yeah.
shoeless.
Yeah.
And prior to the cameras, we got into Top of the Pops early, and prior to the cameras rolling, there would be some rehearsals. And her rehearsal was to walk down the catwalk without her shoes on while the camera got into position. Because the cameras then didn't run round all over the place like they do now, and they just were sort of in one place and gradually moved. And she wouldn't do it. Now, whether she wouldn't do it because she was shy or what, but we liked to think she didn't do it because she felt she was too good to do it.
Yeah.
And I remember, I'm sure that's not the case. I bet, it must have been sort of embarrassing to walk out like that. But I remember I stood in for her, and I felt terribly important because I stood in for her to just get the camera position. That was my claim to fame. Um, and I don't, I have a feeling I saw Lulu as thinking of women singers,
Yeah.
but I don't know whether I did or not. I
Yeah.
saw her somewhere, but whether it was there. Dusty Springfield, certainly.
Yeah.
She did a lot of club work in in Manchester when I was there.
Yeah.
And people absolutely adored her.
Where would she play?
Do you know, I can't, isn't it awful? I can't remember the name
It's all right.
of
No
the,
one can.
oh, can't they?
No,
Oh, I've got
everyone
it.
forgets stuff. Yeah.
Well, I forget.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's just a little microcosm. And it wasn't, at the time, it was just part of being a student. And so many things of being a student were new anyway to us.
I tell you what I
Um,
find interesting, Joan, is that so I'm in Eccles, and when my parents' generation, there was a place near us called the Talk of the North, and I think the Drifters played there, um,
yes,
and I don't think Dusty Springfield played there. I'm not sure, but what I find interesting is that you didn't have to necessarily travel into the city centre like we do
yeah,
now. There was loads of local venues that would have
yeah,
sometimes really
yeah,
big acts.
yeah, yeah. I think it was everywhere at the time because so many people were trying to become a group or to sing individually
Yeah,
or whatever. Um, I mean, I may have made this up, but I did see Roy Orbison once, but
yeah,
I don't know whether I saw him on Top of the Pops or where I saw him.
yeah,
But because I absolutely adored Roy Orbison.
yeah,
Um, and I remember he was a very strange looking person, but his singing was fantastic.
yeah.
Um, um, there was Wayne Fontana.
Yeah, oh
I
yeah,
think there,
yeah.
I, I saw Wayne Fontana. Um, and another person that they used to have frequently on Top of the Pops was Val Doonican, who
Oh, right, yeah. I've
wasn't
got
it?
that name.
He was never a student's favourite.
Yeah,
So, but he might have been, because he sang very at the time very old-fashioned songs, and he
yeah,
was, but so we sort of sat through. Well, we didn't really dance. We kind of just jigged around. We didn't know how to dance. Oh, Chet Baker and the Cream. Was he with the Cream?
yeah, yeah,
Do you
yeah,
remember? Yeah, Chet Baker. Oh, absolutely fantastic
yeah.
drummer.
Yeah.
He played at our Students' Union as well, quite a lot.
Wow, did I?
Oh, and he would mesmerize me
Yeah,
because he would sort of almost go into a trance when he drummed with the group, and then he'd have a little bit on his own, and he would really go off somewhere else. But
yeah,
he was so mesmerizing, he'd make me and other people go off somewhere else. They were fantastic. They
yeah.
were fantastic.
Do you know, like, what
Yeah.
one thing that fascinates me is that the psychedelia. So, like, I know about Swinging London and the UFO club in London, and did
Yeah.
psychedelia hit Manchester? Did all that was
I did. Sorry, carry on.
I'd finished really. Like, did that scene appear in Manchester? Was it big, or was it? Did it not really hit Manchester like it did London? Or all the
I,
psychedelia and LSD and
well, it didn't hit me.
yeah,
Um, they I'm always reading, or I've always read through the past 60 years really, that these sort of LSD and that sort of scene was rife. But I didn't see it. I didn't see
yeah,
it.
yeah,
I um I don't know whether as a student, well, I think it was supposed to be students more than the townspeople really, but the town's teenagers, as it were. But
yeah,
I didn't see it. I mean, I just didn't.
yeah, yeah,
I heard about it later in the 60s, much more so,
yeah,
once I'd left university and gone to work. And then I met people who were into all sorts of drugs,
yeah,
even though they were all graduate people in positions, quite good positions in their jobs. I did know people who took all sorts of drugs.
yeah,
Um, but I didn't I didn't actually see it
yeah,
myself.
yeah,
Because I'm always bemused when I read about, as I said earlier, when I read about the 60s and drugs and rock and roll and sex and everything else, because certainly there was rock and roll.
yeah,
Certainly that was the thing.
yeah.
And I'm sure there was lots of sex. But I think there always has been and always will be. I mean, why not? That's what I mean. People are people, aren't they? Um, but I didn't see much of the drug scene. I don't know whether it just flew by me or whether I was naive and didn't notice, and nobody tried to give me any drugs ever. So I don't know.
Do you know what? I was actually working on something last night, and then I someone mentioned Rock Around the Clock, and
Oh yeah.
then I was thinking that like I mean I was too young for punk, but I lived through acid house, and then rock and roll must have been a big revelation at the time.
Mm.
I mean, wasn't there a cinema where they ripped the chairs up and Rock Around the
Oh
Clock
yeah.
show?
Oh, I did see the Who. That
Did you?
you've reminded me.
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry, carry on. That's
Um,
interesting.
but we'll come back to the Who in a sec. But
Mm.
was there like a cinema somewhere where when they showed the film, was there a film Rock Around the Clock, and then the seats got ripped out in the cinema? Uh,
Well, I know that I'm sure there was a film,
yeah,
um, but I didn't see it, and it's highly likely that the seats were ripped out, but I wasn't there.
yeah,
I did see James Brown in, well, I don't, it must have been one of the one of the music halls, as it were, where I saw him. Um, there was no ripping out of seats, but there was
yeah,
certainly utter chaos.
yeah,
Utter chaos.
yeah,
James Brown could whip up a crowd of any age, I think, but we were only young. I
yeah,
distinctly remember dancing up and down and everybody else dancing up and down with James Brown. It was a wild, wild scene. No, that he was amazing,
yeah,
amazing. And I saw him later in the 60s somewhere, can't remember where, probably around London, and it was just the same. But I've never experienced ripping. I've never experienced anything wild like that. I did go to see Bob Dylan on the Isle of Wight,
yeah,
you know, at the festival, and there wasn't. That was wild. There was no seats to rip up, but there was certainly lots of mud
yeah,
to roll in and no loos. So wherever you could go, you went. I
yeah,
mean, that was a very wild scene.
yeah,
But Bob Dylan is my
yeah,
favorite.
yeah,
Was then
yeah,
and is now.
yeah,
But I saw him live twice and I heard him. He played in a local aerodrome near where I live. And in my garden, I don't know why I didn't go and see him. But in my garden, I could hear him singing. I couldn't believe it. And he was at this local aerodrome where, of course, you could get a massive crowd of people. And it was so loud, it drifted across to me. So
yeah,
that was rather a strange way to hear one of your favorite pop idols, really, just
yeah.
coming across the air from somewhere out of nowhere, spiritual almost.
Right, so,
Except I'm not spiritual.
yeah. Go on, John. Tell me about the Who.
The Who are absolutely, again, a bit like Jack Baker in Cream. Uh, I couldn't take my eyes off them. But then they'd go absolutely balmy. They'd, and I can quite understand how that happens, really, because even you must know, Paul, as well as I do, that when you listen to music that you like, and it gets in, I don't know, it gets inside you somehow, doesn't it?
Yeah,
And it seemed to me that with the Who, it got inside them.
yeah,
And then I don't know whether initially they broke things up or whether it became then part of the act,
yeah,
but certainly it became absolutely crazy. The more the gig went on, really.
yeah.
And but their music was good. I liked it. Yeah.
And
Mm.
when you were going to Top of the Props regular, I bet you'd get to know a lot of people, wouldn't you? I bet you'd have a
You
good
did.
crowd.
You met loads, and of course we had. well, I was always a Manchester United Football Club fan,
Yeah,
and my son, my oldest son, will will hate me for saying that because he's always been a Manchester City fan.
yeah,
But the Manchester United team used to regularly come, not all of them, but the young ones, to Top of the Pops. And I think there may have been Man City guys there too, but I didn't take any notice of them because with the Manchester United guys, and they kind of wore a uniform almost to show who they were.
yeah,
It wasn't old-fashioned, but it was certainly a neat uniform. And
yeah,
of course, amongst them was George Best.
yeah.
So
Wow.
George Best at the time was just a good player, a brilliant player. And so he hadn't become yet the icon that he became.
Yeah,
And he would just join in with us, just like they all did. And they dance as badly as we did. We kind of just jigged a bit.
yeah,
There was no really good dancing like you see now. You
yeah,
see fabulous dancing from young people now. And actually, I do think that Michael Jackson has had a huge influence on young people dancing.
yeah,
But then we just jigged around, looked a bit vacant, I think. Um, and they joined in with us. And sometimes through them, we got tickets to at least I did, and then some of my friends to go and see them play, which was lovely because we got in free. And
yeah,
even then it was quite expensive to get into a football match.
yeah,
So they were there. And then everybody, oh, I don't want to say it, but no, I'm not going to say it. But all the people who were on Top of the Pops, most of the up and coming pop stars and groups just were there.
yeah,
They talked, they were there. They talked to us. They it was there was no them and us kind of
yeah,
thing, apart from Sandie Shaw, who didn't appear.
yeah,
But she wasn't the only one. So we did meet a lot of people. And a lot of them, it is astonishing to think, have become so world famous
yeah,
and so rich. And it's a strange thing, isn't it, that at the time you just have no idea that that's going to happen to them.
yeah,
Didn't even think of such a thing. I was thinking of people like, as I said already, Bob Dylan, Barbara Streisand. I mean, I loved Barbara Streisand then as I do now.
yeah,
And I thought of them as being somebody up there somewhere
yeah,
in the clouds as a pop icon, but didn't really think of all these others like that at all.
yeah,
Thought they were talented, thought how good, this is lovely music, but it's strange how they evolved. Well, it isn't strange, it's you just don't know what life is going to bring next, do you? And it's and if I say to people, oh, I met that person or I met that person, they sometimes think, no, she didn't. But I did. We all did, all of us who were there
yeah,
at the time, because it was a burgeoning economy, really, wasn't it? It was just an industry that was growing and mushroomed. It was fantastic.
yeah. So I feel like we're coming to the end now, Joan. So
Yes, of
I always
course.
like to end these videos with, and I should have told you I'd asked you this before, but like, give me a track that takes you back to the 60s, a track that you particularly love, our favorite track.
Um,
It always puts people on
yes,
the,
I know what it'll be. It'll be a it'll be satisfaction.
oh,
Um,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
oh,
I can't, you see, with Bob Dylan, I can't, because I play Bob Dylan all the time now, still,
yeah,
I can't honestly think which ones I liked best
yeah,
in the 60s. But yeah, I liked Love, Love Me Do, the Beatles. Was that around in the early 60s? I
yeah,
can't
yeah.
remember.
I think was that the first hit single?
It
Or
probably was.
no, Please Please Me was the first.
Please Please Me. No, Please Please Me was the first one.
Yeah,
That's right, because that was in about 62, I think, because those days we used to have these little record players where you could put your 45 record on, and you could lift the middle bit up and it would keep playing. And I
Yeah.
can remember my sister and I would be getting ready for school and we just played it constantly, constantly, time and time again, till my mum went berserk. Mm,
I didn't know you could do that. So you would
yeah.
you would you wouldn't have to like do anything
No,
to
you wouldn't have to
play
keep
again,
going back and
just
putting it
keep
on.
playing it.
If you, no, if you took that bit up that went down on it,
Yeah.
you picked it up,
Yeah.
it kind of, the bit would automatically go to and fro. So you could just keep playing it.
Yeah.
So we'd be getting ready for school and just played it all the time. So although I didn't see the Beatles and I didn't like them as much as some other people, I did like their music. They didn't grab me to look at.
Yeah.
They, yeah, whereas the Rolling Stones and Bob Dylan and a few others did.
I bet like I bet they sounded different, didn't they, when you heard the Beatles? I bet they sounded different to everything else. Or
The um, the Beatles,
yeah, yeah, when
yeah, yes, completely different. I mean, I think. Oh, I tell you, the Beach Boys were fantastic as well. Come to think of
yeah,
it, I was just thinking of harmonies
yeah,
because the Beatles' harmonies and like the Beach Boys were out of this world, really.
yeah,
And the Everly Brothers,
yeah,
they I never saw the Everly Brothers, but their harmonies were so good, but they were so natural. There didn't seem to be any forced harmony. It was as if they were all so in tune that it was automatic, which is the sign of a true professional, isn't it, really?
yeah, yeah. So well, thank you so much, Joel. I'm just gonna stop recording now, and then we can